Part 6. Well then, we're going now. Listen, I'll handle Her Highness Iris, all of you just need to eat and nod. I'll explain everything to her. Darkness said as she led the way and opened the door. It was a vast, high-class dining hall that wasn't overly extravagant. The hall was illuminated by candles and was well lit. Several servants surrounded the table quite some distance away, waiting quietly. The floor was covered in red carpet. A large table with all sorts of fancy dishes sat in the middle of the carpet-laden room. At the head of the table was a girl who was dressed in white, just like Aqua and Darkness. On either side of the girl stood two young women. One wore a black dress and was unarmed, and looked a little plain. Judging from the rings with sharp edges shining on her hand, she was probably a mage. The other woman wasn't wearing a dress, but a white suit. A short-haired beauty with a sword on her waist. It was probably inappropriate for the young princess to have male knights as guards, which was why her attendants were women. Darkness slowly led us toward the three of them. Sorry for the wait, Princess Iris. These are my friends and my adventuring comrades, Sata Kazuma and his team. This way, my friends. This is the first princess of the kingdom, Her Highness Iris. Please introduce yourselves with the adequate etiquette, she said while gesturing to the young girl in the middle. She was just what I expected a young princess to be. Semi-long golden locks and clear blue eyes. Giving off a sense of regal quality and orthodox beauty with a dreamy air about her was right there. How precious, this was a rare exception where this fantasy world didn't betray my expectation. Elves wearing fake ears, beardless dwarves, cat-eared orcs, and a disappointing lich. After seeing all sorts of weirdos, I was wary about a weird princess appearing. While I was feeling moved and stopped thinking, Aqua gently lifted the corners of her skirt and did a perfect curtsy. When we saw her like that, not just me, even Darkness tensed up. I'm an archpriest, Aqua. Pleased to meet you. Alright, allow me to present a performance as a greeting. Aqua was about to show some tricks when Darkness grabbed her hand. Excuse for a moment, Princess Iris. I have something to tell my companion. Aqua pulled on Darkness's braid in protest while she was being restrained. Using the chance while Darkness was distracted by Aqua, Megumin reached into her dress and quickly took out a black mantle. She seemed to have tied it to her thigh to sneak it through Darkness's body search. After opening the mantle with a flick and donning it on her shoulders, Megumin prepared to introduce herself, but was stopped by Darkness grabbing her hand. With one hand grabbing Aqua and the other holding Megumin, Darkness tried to smile as Aqua happily stroked her braid, but she looked as if she would burst into tears at any moment. Aqua seemed to be enamored by how the braid felt in her hand and didn't plan to stop. At this moment, the princess looked at me as she whispered to the white-suited female attendant. She was probably shy. Lowly plebeian, don't leer at royalty with such lewd eyes. Normally, it'd be impossible for you to meet and dine together with royalty, because of the difference in status. Lower your head, don't meet my eyes. Hurry up with your greetings and tell me about your adventures. The princess said. When I heard the white-suited woman say that, I froze. After a moment, I understood. During the times of samurai in Japan, because of the status difference between the lord and his vassals, they wouldn't dine at the same table and would eat at different times. Getting the white-suited woman to speak in her place was probably to avoid conversing with people of a lower status. I felt at ease with aristocrats because of Darkness and her father, but this was the norm for nobles and royalty. I see, I got it. I simply said. Change. Your Highness Iris, please wait for a moment. My comrades are tense because of their excitement, allow me to speak with them for a moment. Darkness dragged me by my hand to a corner of the hall. Why, you idiot? What the hell is change? Why do you think I suffered through all that humiliation to serve you? This isn't what we agreed on. Facing Darkness, who wanted to strangle me, I protested by pulling on her braid. What the hell, and not what we agreed on should be my lines. All those talks about the princess filled me with expectations, but what's all this? The development I was looking forward to being was. I yearned for the world outside. Brave adventurer-sama, please allow me to hear your tales of adventures. What kind of dining together is this? Are they looking down on me? Hey, shut up now. Why's everyone pulling on my hair today? No, not in a place like this. These types of things should be done when the two of us are alone. I pointed in the princess's direction and said to Darkness, who was spouting nonsense. By the way, something seemed to be happening. Is it fine to leave her alone? In the direction I was pointing at, Aqua was painting on a piece of paper with glue and then sprinkling sand on top of it. Completed in no time was an incredibly high-quality sand painting. It was a work that could be mistaken for a black and white photo from far. To commemorate the day we meet the princess, I present you with this. I even replicated the disgraceful bit of sauce at the corner of the lips perfectly. When the princess heard Aqua's unnecessary words, she wiped the corner of her mouth frantically. Your Highness Iris, I'll chase this insolent fool out, please wait a moment. Darkness screamed as she lifted the edge of her dress slightly off the ground and charged. When the princess heard her scream, she whispered to the white-suited woman beside her. Because the princess saw the rare sight of the calm and quiet Lalatina acting so frantically, she won't pursue the matter. It's normal for adventurers to be a little crude. Instead of that, hurry up and tell your stories of adventure, the princess said. As the white-suited woman repeated the princess's word, Her Highness looked at Aqua doing her best to protect the sand painting in her arms from Darkness and smiled happily. Darkness bowed deeply toward the princess. My deep apologies, Princess Iris. How should I put this, the three of them are also the most problematic bunch amongst the adventurers. While Darkness was doing her best to explain, Aqua presented the sand painting to Her Highness and said, For you. When the princess saw the sand painting, shock came over her face, and she whispered to the white-suited woman. To draw such a perfect sand painting in so little time. Amazing, simply amazing. A reward for you. The princess said. The white-suited woman said as she took out something from her pocket and offered it to Aqua. It was a small gem. Even to my untrained eyes, I could tell that gem was valuable. Aqua took it and held it between her thumb and index finger, appraising it happily in the light. Lowering her head embarrassingly, Darkness sat to the right of the princess. Megumin and Aqua sat to the side of Darkness. The princess gestured for me to sit to her left. As I sat down as instructed, Her Highness stared at me and whispered to the white-suited woman. Are you the one the brave magic sword user Mitsurugi mentioned? Let me hear your story, Her Highness said. I also want to hear about how you defeated that Mitsurugi. Was Mitsurugi famous in the kingdom? And what exactly did that guy say about me? I basked in the gaze full of expectation from the white-suited woman and the princess and started recounting my memories.